Hey guys, welcome back to A Homemade Homestead. My name is Jesse if you're visiting our channel for the first time. Today we are helping out our hens with their egg production a little bit. If you've watched some of our previous videos, you may remember that the egg-laying hens are kind of finicky. They can be kind of finicky when it comes to egg production. If you're keeping chickens for eggs and you've got a mixed flock, sort of, not just all hens, you may notice that every once in a while your chickens may tend to, the egg production may tend to go down. And you're not really sure why. Nothing that you can tell has really changed, and that's been the case for us. We've been giving them the same feed, the same living conditions. It's been a little bit hotter, but no more so than usual. Even though we've got a flock with about 15 hens in it, all of a sudden we've been getting, maybe 2, maybe 4 eggs on a good day. That's a good day. And it kind of dawned on me, it's something I knew already, but it dawned on me what part of the problem might be. And if you're keeping chickens and all of a sudden your egg production goes down, you might want to consider this. Roosters. We've been just accumulating, one extra rooster every once in a while, until the point where, even though we've got 15 hens, right now we've got, I think, at least 4 mature roosters out there. And 4 roosters to 15 hens is way overkill. That's way more than your hens can take. A good flock for egg laying is, maybe if you're looking for fertilized eggs and you want that rooster in there, a good ratio is about 1 rooster to every 12 to 15 hens. So yeah, we've got 15 hens and 4 roosters. That's way overkill, way more than that needs. And I think it's stressing them out a little bit. Some of these gals are looking pretty sad and beat up. That's because of all these roosters. They keep picking on them. They're very aggressive, these roosters, and that happens when you've got too many of them and there starts to be a little too much competition. As you can see, one right in there. You see that one right in the middle? Oh, it's so sad. She's looking, quite ragged, to say the very least. And we're thinking we're going to retire our rooster, Sunny. The alpha, he's the alpha rooster. And he's been a really good rooster, but he's started to get older. He's been with us pretty much ever since we moved here, I think. We brought him over in our move from our other property, where we were living, from our other home. But he's getting pretty old now. I think he's about 5 or 6 years old. He's a little bit more aggressive toward the kids and even Rachel. So he's been a great rooster, but we think it's time for him to be retired of his fertilizing job, and now he can be used to help fill our bellies. We believe in making the most of our chickens, both for egg production and, in this case, for meat. So we're going to get to him, and there's another barred rock that we like that's significantly younger. That's going to be this big guy right there. We call him Rocky. He might actually be one of Sunny's from maybe 3 or 4 years back, or maybe 3 years back. Anyway, we've discovered we really like barred rocks. We love them just for general, they're a little bit nicer. They're great for fertilizer, of course, and they're great egg layers. They're even decent enough meat for egg laying chickens. So the fact that this younger rooster is a barred rock is a big plus, and he's the one that we're going to decide. And we're also in the process going to be getting rid of, with Sunny, we're also going to be culling 3 silky roosters, which we really see no use for them. Honestly, they look funny, and that's about it. They don't really provide much meat. I don't know if we've never had any, not that I'm thinking about it, we've never even had any silky hens. The one silky hen that we had died. So one thing, silkies can be kind of finicky, and the one hen that we had died because I think they were too stupid to go into the coop when it was cold. I'm really confident that the reason our egg production has been down so low, primarily I imagine it's because they're being the hens are way too stressed out with all the roosters. So if you've got hens, consider that. Consider how many roosters you have per flock. Again, you want a ratio of about 1 rooster to 12 to 15 hens. By the way, we've also got some hens that are still wanting to brood. with our chicks. This is just the chicks that we hatch out ourselves. They are not sexed, and invariably there's at least 2 or 3 roosters that come up in our new chicks that we hatch out every year. So we'll be set for roosters. All Silkies back there. There's the golden ones, the dad, and its 2 sons. Still a little bit more of an emotional time than it was for the meat birds. You know, this one Silkie's been with us through a lot. He's survived a lot with us. Be it a couple dog attacks, where some of our other chickens were a lot more scarred. He managed to survive. He got out once and wound up all the way across a neighbor's field and over in some other property, looking all over basically this whole block for him. Ended up finding him over in a drain pipe. So he's been through a lot with us, and he's a survivor. It's kind of an emotional time. You know, that's one of the hard realities living on a homestead. Number one, since they're roosters, and since some of these are a little bit older, certainly. With your older chickens and with your roosters, you might want to consider bottling. Or if you guys have some good tips on how to make your meat tender, we would love to hear from you in the comments below and see what your tips are, because the experience that we've had with them is unless we bottle these older roosters, the meat comes out so terribly tough. Even if we let the meat rest and all that, we have a hard time making it edible. So if you guys have some tips, all we've been doing is bottling, which that tenderizes pretty much any chicken really nicely. But if you guys got some other tricks up your sleeve that you know how to tenderize these roosters like these, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. This one's gonna be a little bit harder. I didn't want to put him in with the rest of the roosters because I want his time to be as comfortable as I can make it. He's been a good rooster. He's been with us for quite a few years. Been really sweet with the kids and taking care of our hens really well. So it's going to be a lot sadder to see him go. We are very thankful for the service that he's given us. Thank you, Sonny. Guess might as well just get right to it. Get it over with. I underestimated how difficult this was going to be.
Why?
Thank you.
What do you mean?
Oh, and thank you for bringing that up, and please thank Mom for me. I think it's just because he's so old, this skin isn't just pulling off. I'm like having to go and like do this, like cutting it off. It's insane. Yeah, I figured I'd go with him first just to get the hardest part out of the way. Okay, that's that. The 4 roosters are butchered. They're in the cooler right now. I just need to wash them up and set them in our fridge to let them rest. And the rooster butchering is done. All right, now I'm inside. I'm all cleaned up and I'm exhausted. So I'm just sitting here in my comfy chair. Every house needs a comfy chair. But I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple things that I learned from this butchering experience, or I at least remembered. I may have known it before, but I certainly remembered them this time, that may be beneficial if you are specifically culling roosters out of your flock, and even old roosters as well. First and foremost, I would say be mindful of the time of day that you butcher. I invariably seem to butcher at the wrong time of day. I get out way too late in the morning, and by the time I'm right in the middle of butchering, it's also the middle of the heat of the day, and I'm just sweating, and it is not a fun experience, and I'm usually way overheated by the time I'm all done. So make sure you're mindful. It's really beneficial if you can get to it like early morning or later in the evening. That's my 2 cents, especially if you don't have many shade trees, as is the case here. We just don't have that many, and we kind of it helps to be getting out and doing things in the yard before the main heat hits. Second thing, again, with those roosters, and especially old roosters, they have these spurs on the back of their feet that get longer the older the rooster is, and those things were actually poking me. I was surprised how in the way they were, because especially with our oldest alpha male, Sonny. He was so old, his spurs were probably easily 2 or 3 inches long. So you might want to either consider, just watch out for those, or you might consider going a little bit younger with the roosters. Last, and this is probably the most important one that I was noticing with these roosters, is be aware of how tough their skin is. I remember the first time I watched an instructional video when I wanted to try skinning instead of plucking a chicken. The first video I watched was a guy complaining about how tough it was to pluck, and he swore he would never do it again, and he walked me through a simple step-by-step of how to skin. And it was super easy, and he was doing roosters, and it may not apply to all roosters. Every rooster is different, but you may want to be mindful, skinning is not always the easiest option. With Sonny, maybe he was just too far gone. He's maybe, I want to say he's at least 5-6 years old. And with him, it was, it was a struggle to skin him. I spent as much time just to skin him as it took me to butcher the next 2 chickens. So you may consider plucking even if it's an old rooster. So keep that in mind. These guys are roosters, and I was butchering some older roosters, and when you do that, the muscle, it gets aged and it gets a little bit tougher. The first rooster I ever butchered was an older rooster, and we tried cooking it doing coq au vin. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It did not turn out well because it was just so darn old, and maybe we didn't really know what we were doing all that well either. But in all likelihood, what we found works really well for us when butchering older chickens is pressure canning. That is a pretty fail-safe way of tenderizing even your oldest, toughest bird. So we would strongly encourage pressure canning if you're doing older chickens, and certainly roosters. That about does it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it and found it educational, we'd encourage you to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching and supporting our channel. We would love to hear from you guys in the comments below. And we hope to see you again in the next video.